Go for it.
All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to the Plastic Adventures Show. If you haven't been around for the last couple of episodes, you're looking behind Steve saying, what?
It's not a white wall.
What? I mean, like if you were naughty and skipped the last two great episodes, shame on you, all like 6 of you watching. It's because I'd recently moved to Mount Vernon and all of my great stuff is all packed away in boxes. So what is behind me represents some of the latest acquisitions, things that I'm finding on the shelf. Some of it is mine. A few of these back there are for Doug. But then you go to this screen over here and he's got all the cool stuff. So awesome. I'm working on rebuilding. Whenever we sell the place in the Tri-Cities and we buy a new place, I'm going to have a totally killer toy room. But until then, my shelves back here, they kind of look like the current Transformer setup at most Walmarts and Targets. Not much happening right there right now.
You've been downsized.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, tirade over. Welcome everybody, and welcome back if you're repeat viewing. Boy, we have a whole bunch of stuff happening in the news. An incredibly surprising Fan First Tuesday out of Hasbro that just kind of blew my mind. I wasn't expecting it. Other great things have been kind of coming down the pipe and some interesting specialty stuff to talk about. So why don't we kick the news off, Doug? Why don't you kick this thing off? I think I know what you're going to come out of the gates with. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Hasbro did an awesome Transformer reveal. We weren't sure what we were going to get, but it was definitely a surprise. And so I'll share some of the ones that we knew we kind of anticipated we were going to get, and then we'll go into the ones that came out of nowhere and kind of surprised everybody.
Yeah, it's a little exhausting.
It was. So can you see what I'm sharing?
Yeah, I see that. That's that Motor Master box art, and that kind of leaked a couple of days ahead.
It did.
So I had a feeling we would just be seeing Motor Master.
Yep, and he's a good one to start off with, because he is very detailed. Look at this.
Yeah, he's a leader class figure.
Yeah, I mean, look at the detail on this guy. I mean, he looks and what they've been doing really good with. That they've kind of went from when they were working on War for Cybertron series, and now they're bringing over into the Legacy series, is that they're doing a really good job of kind of meshing the G1 toy with the G1 cartoon aesthetic of the figures. So we're getting as close to screen accurate figures as we can get that transform how they should and look how they should.
Yeah, and they're getting a little bit of extra detail in there. I remember the cartoon models. I mean, the original Transformers were pretty blocky, not a lot of detail. But I mean, you look at this figure, and it's like everything is right with it.
Yeah.
And we haven't got a Motor Master since Combiner Wars, and even then, it was just a half-assed, crappy Optimus Prime repaint.
Pretty much. Yep.
And then the limbs were just these limbs that they repurposed between Autobots and Decepticons. Really, a lot of that Combiner Wars stuff did not go over very well. There was only a few like real superstars out of that set, but certainly Motor Master was not one of them.
No, but like this Motor Master, like you can definitely see the influence of the G1 cartoon, but the detail really just kind of makes it pop, right? So you get the best of both worlds when we're talking with modern Transformers now. And so Motor Master was a great introduction. And so here he is in his alt mode.
Yeah, and one of the things I really appreciate about this is that the trailer actually looks like it transforms and forms some Menasor parts.
It does.
But the cab turns into Motor Master, because that's kind of a design challenge. The original figure, the whole trailer and the cab just turned into the robot.
Right.
But they kind of solved that problem with this one. I think it was a really ingenious use of molds. I like it. And I'm assuming that once we get the other Stunticons, it'll probably be a scale similar to Devastator, maybe just a little bit smaller.
Well, the thing I really liked about this, and as I was watching the Hasbro Pulse live, I was watching it live as it was happening, and I was reading some of the comments that were coming across on the screen, and there's always going to be those people who aren't happy with no matter what Hasbro gives you. But and the biggest thing that they were complaining about was why do we have to have the trailer? It looks like Menace, he's going to be Menasor, and the other Stunticons just kind of snap onto him. I actually think that's a great idea.
Me too.
It makes the figure, because it's going to be big. First of all, it's going to be huge, so it gives that giant figure more sturdiness, right? It makes it able to be played with, but able to be standing on its own, and you don't feel like it's going to be clumsy or
Yeah,
having loose joint issues. So to
and
have that reinforcement skeleton that the other Stunticons connect to and still create Menasor is a great idea. I thought it was an awesome idea.
yeah, and if you want to see bad, look at Combiner Wars. I know I was just kind of like bagging on that, but you look at the proportions, and it's almost like the combined robot forms were an afterthought. They
Yeah,
got weird, really long limbs, unless you shorten up the arms. Like you shouldn't have the legs bending when you do the arms on them, or they look really spindly, or they got
yeah.
really strange little hip connections. So I really like the idea of this trailer becoming the core component and the other robots kind of locking into it. I think that it's going to do a lot for aesthetics.
I agree,
When
and I
as a
hope
whole
that
as a
when
unit.
when they go in the future, like hopefully they give us the aerial bots, right? And I hope that we kind of get something along that line too, where there's a skeleton kind of that not really a skeleton, but kind of a frame that the other aerial bots connect to give that reinforcement and that sturdiness for this giant figure.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
So the next one that they had was another one that was kind of pre-released or teased, was Wild Rider, which is another part of Menasor. So, and we have all seen what he looks like if you've been paying attention to the news. Another great looking figure that has the G1 aesthetic, but the nice modern detail.
Yeah, yeah, no complaints there. That figure looks great.
Yeah, and he's going to lock into the Menasor beautifully, and their alt modes are good too. I mean, they're just knocking it out of the park. The cars look like cars. There's no odd parts hanging off of them. There's no weird breaks in the glass like they did with Universe. Remember Universe and Generations? They would have like cracks in the glass where you have
Yes, and then there
oh
would
man,
be painted glass on one side and translucent on the other.
yeah, none of that. I mean, all of this, the engineering that's gone into these is top notch.
Yeah,
And I feel like even though they're shelf toys, I feel like they're masterpieces. Like you're getting masterpiece engineering on your shelf. You can
yeah,
walk.
and I think a lot of these the transformations are not as terribly complicated. So some of them are still a little rough, but I like that for whatever reason. When you're talking about mainline releases, I still like the idea that the transformation is somewhat intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and all the ball joints and everything that they've been using. I mean, this is just a superior design. And I don't know how at the current price point that they're at that you pack more great engineering and design into a toy. They're insane.
I have no idea either, but I like what I'm seeing. And there's some people who are complaining about like the wheel difference. You see how the wheel has the pegs here, but there's no pegs in the front. And I'm like,
It's such a minor thing. Who
why are we
cares?
complaining about these things? We should be this is what we've always wanted as Transformer toy collectors. This is what we want.
Yeah. And have you seen the proportions of some of the G1 figures? I'm sorry, man, but they do leave a little bit
To be desired.
a feeling of lacking some of the designs. So to have these all be like these great symmetrical humanoid robot type designs that are evoking that cartoon likeness
Yep.
and transforming into almost kibble-less vehicles, that's great.
Well,
It's perfect.
A perfect example of that is the Hot Rod from the Studio Series 86.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you look at him and from his profile onto his, from to the front on view, he's exactly as he should look. There's no extra parts hanging off the back. Everything is as exactly as it should be. And so, you know, and that's the kind of engineering that we're getting in all of these modern toy releases. So I don't see anything to complain about. If you're a Transformers collector, we're finally getting all of the things that we want at the prices that we've been wanting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, relatively speaking.
Well,
I mean,
relatively
inflation's
speaking,
out of
yes.
out of this world, but
We're not paying masterpiece prices. Let's
yeah,
put it that way.
honestly, to get something like this years ago, you were looking at third party, and it was $50 for like a deluxe class figure back then. So, and you had to import them, and it was just a real hassle. So, Hasbro just solved a huge. They fixed a big void for fans with figures like these. I'm interested to see what they do with the Technobots.
Oh,
I think there'd be a lot to do with those. You know, I bought Superion, the pieces in Combiner Wars, but if they keep being this good, that might be a rebuy.
You're gonna, yeah. Well, I was thinking about how you try to keep things within scale, and you always try to buy the closest version that you can get to the ones that you remember. And I'm like, if they keep going on this, you're going to have to go through another wave of Transformers to replace the ones you've got.
You know, I almost bought a Defensor.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, from way across the pond. It was something like $50 shipped.
You
Almost
pulled the trigger on that, huh?
It's sitting in my eBay save list. But if Transformers is going this way, and I've got an opportunity to get one that's not some like janked out Combiner Wars version, I may just hold tight.
Yeah.
Get the new version that comes.
Well, with the way they're going, I think we're going to see more of those kind of things. So maybe holding out is the best thing.
Probably 1 to 2 releases a year, if I had to guess.
Yep. So the next one they released was one that we knew was coming, was Blitzwing.
Yeah, and everybody's kind of up in arms that you can see the tank's penis. And that's how the toy looked anyways.
Did you not remember the G1?
I had the G1. I know exactly what it looked like. Even in the cartoons, it had that wonky thing where the nose cone and the cockpit of the jet were folded over, and you could see them in the tank mode. So
yeah, here, actually, I'll show you. I got that one. So here's what Steve's talking about. You see the jet mode hanging out in the tank mode. Steve, this is another one of those where I'm like, I love this figure. I am not complaining about this figure. It gives me all of the nostalgia feels for it. And the robot mode.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's gorgeous.
Dude, come on. That's crazy.
What do we have to complain about? Look at this head sculpt.
Yeah. He looks malicious.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely a wonderful figure, and I hope we get a chance to see him somewhere on the shelf. I really do.
I think we will.
Because I really am looking forward to getting this one. I mean, look at that. That looks blocky and horrible, just like the original G1 jet transformation, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. It why would you want to eat that? I mean, that's how he was represented in the media.
Yeah.
And they've somehow managed to engineer this toy to do those things. So, stop complaining.
Yeah, don't complain. Be happy.
Yeah.
All right. So those were some of the ones we knew were coming. So here's some of the new ones that were kind of interesting to me.
Oh, did you see that the tail fins on the jet are silver?
Oh.
On Blitzwing, if you go back, take a look at those silver tails.
Yep.
Just like the die-cast metal on the original toy. They didn't have to be that color. It would have probably made more sense to be purple like the rest of the jet.
Or maybe yellow like the fins, but they did it right.
Yeah, I love that. I 100% love that.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yes, and now we go with here's one of the surprise reveals.
Exactly. So this is what they were calling the Prime from Prime Universe Knockout.
Yeah.
And so look at this robot mode. And
I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, much better than the stylized look of Transformers Prime.
I agree. If all of the primes are getting a redone to look like this, sign me up. because this is a beautiful bot.
Yeah. One of the hardest things for me to get over is when Transformers look like Justice League.
Mm.
And Transformers Prime is probably one of the absolute best series since G1. It was just hard to look at those wonky, weird.
I know, and some
proportions.
people really like that, but I wasn't for that art style. So, but getting the figure or getting those characters in this style is actually an upgrade for me. So I think they're really good. And once again, there's this,
the clip and pin is reversed on this one.
yeah. And there'll be some people to complain about that, but
who cares?
And I can already see, like, on eBay, all of the upgrade kits coming out for these people. People are already chomping at the bit to try to release their upgrade kits for these things, to get rid of the holes in the legs, or all the gaps in certain things. So I can already see those starting to happen. But yeah, look at that alt mode though. It's beautiful. Beautiful car.
Yeah, looks great. That's a terrific reveal. That was just kind of like out of nowhere.
And another one that was from out of nowhere, Alita 1. So this is one that I'm like, well, it's cool that you did it. I can live without this one. This is one that I could live without. I think the War for Cybertron Alita 1 is probably the more superior version.
I like the head sculpt on this one, and I was sort of, because the one thing that I am doing in all of these new Transformers releases is I'm getting the G1 characters, but Alita 1 was one episode, and I just don't know if I can bring myself to buy this one. I think it looks good.
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't. I just think that if I compare this one to the War for Cybertron, I think the War for Cybertron one is a little bit better than this.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually kind of like this one better myself. I don't really care for the shoulder kibble.
Yeah.
That it's only a minor,
it's a minor
detracting sort of aesthetic. The figure overall looks really, really nice, and I just it was never like a big thing to me. I mean, it was interesting that you had this squad of like all female Autobots.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's female Transformers. That's cool.
Yeah.
And they're badass too. I just don't, like, as a subset, I don't know if I would collect her and the other like 3 characters.
Well, I did pick up Lancer for the Generation Selects because she was only like $22. So I was like, hey, I'll pick that one up. And that actually was a pretty good one. They tried to say that it was a War for Cybertron series, even though it was clearly a Power of the Primes. But either way, doesn't really matter. Still a pretty cool looking figure. But one of the things I like that they're starting to introduce, and me and clear blue plastic, right?
I know.
So they're starting to introduce what they're calling the Energon weapons. So a lot of these new figures are going to start having these clear plastic pieces for their weapons.
I don't like that.
I know you're not a fan of it, but I actually am a fan of it. So I think it's kind of cool to see these things. And when we get to another one down the line, you'll see another Energon part of it. But also Blitzwing had Energon parts to it that they're starting to show off. Are these big red pieces of kibble, right? So,
well, at least they come right off, so it doesn't harm anything. But I don't know. I just, I think back to the cartoons and the figures, and they had like either vac metal or solid molded plastic. I just don't like, how do you make a gun out of Energon? That would be like making a gun out of gasoline. I don't get it.
I don't know, but I think it's cool.
That's fine. And the sculpts are really nice looking.
They're pretty cool.
One of those things where like my OCD's going gangbusters, then I go out and put some white spray paint on them or something. That's fine.
All right, let's get into the next one so we can get going through here. Jaxus.
Now I gotta ask, how do you really say that name? Because I've always thought of it as Jaxus, but it's almost like that J is silent, like Jesus. or something.
No, it's
I'm
Jaxus.
dead serious, man. I mean, somebody call Simon Furman and tell me what his stupid character is called. I have always disliked this character.
It wasn't my favorite of the reveals, but I will point out some things that I do like about it. So I like that they're trying to show off different head sculpts. This may not be the best one, but I like that they're trying to do that and show us more detail in the heads. I like this idea that's on the shins. I thought that was kind of a cool little, molding piece.
It's a nice sculpted in detail.
Yeah. His hands move. His fingers, they open and close. So we're starting to see more of that on a lot of the figures coming through for Transformers.
And do you think that's necessary? Is this a deluxe or is this a Voyager class?
Let's go back to his box and let's see. Voyager class.
Okay, so he's a bit bigger. That would be why he has articulation in the hands. Okay, that makes sense.
Here's his alt mode, which again is kind of meh. You can take it or leave it. If you like it, it's good. If you don't, I mean, it's one of those that you can leave on the shelf. But I kind of like the colors. The colors are growing on me. I think the colors are all right.
Looks like a wasp or something.
But going into wasps, tarantulas. I was not a Beast Wars fan, so this one didn't get me excited at all. But it did look really good next to the Black Arachnia that they showed off on that live stream. I will admit that looked pretty cool. And in his robot mode, see, there's all that. I can't do that. I can't get behind that.
Nah, I mean, it's honestly probably better looking than the Beast Wars figures ever will be, but it still looks stupid.
Transformation mode actually does have a lot of detail. Looks pretty cool for the Beast mode, but once again, it's Beast Wars, so I can leave it. If they ask me to take it or leave it, I can leave it.
Well, what probably the smartest thing about Legacy is this isn't a storyline specific, we're going to wrap this in a year toy line.
True.
It has the ability to draw from so many different corners of the universe that this really could have legs for 2 or 3 years on shelves.
I hope so.
And really give us access to some fan favorite characters that haven't gotten love because they didn't really, maybe they didn't fit with what they were trying to do with the story or the line. So as much as I think Beast Wars are stupid, it's a greatly, the sculpting and engineering is really good on the figure, and I mean that is very accurate to the cartoon.
Well, and we like to say that Transformers and a lot of the new toy lines that they got coming out are good for every walks of life for the collector, right? Do you have the ones who are G1 specific? You have toys for you guys. People who are Beast Wars, you got toys for you guys. People who are Prime, people who are all those other, you got toys coming for you guys. So they're doing a really good job of trying to cover all their bases to make all of their fans happy, which is something that is very surprising coming out of a company these days, because we don't see that a lot.
Well, and some of it could be trademark stuff too. If they don't reuse a name in a certain amount of time, they'll lose the trademark status on it, which is why we got Autobot Jazz instead of just Jazz. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to what Legacy has to offer. I think that we're going to see some really neat figures coming.
I think so.
Just because I'm not into this one or Hesus or whatever, however you say his name.
Axis.
I don't know, dude. It's got like the J and the H. Is the J like? Does it make
G-Axis
sound? Like what the hell? Hesus, Xerxes. I don't know. Stupid character. Simon Furman had way too long in the Transformers universe, and he's overrated. Oh, we just lost our viewership.
Oh, dang. I care. Anyway, next one. was Shattered Glass Ultra Magnus. How do you feel about this bad boy?
I like the colors because it's a Diaclone looking type color for Powered Convoy. I would think that if they snuck in some kind of an alternate head sculpt or something.
They did.
Oh, they did.
Yep. So the skull head for Ultra Magnus is swappable. You can put the red and silver Diaclone head on, and he
perfect.
Yeah. So I actually really like this one. I already have an Ultra Magnus, so it's kind of hard for me to justify getting the Kingdom version. And so, but this one is completely different. Some of the molding and the detailing has been changed a bit. And he's a completely different figure, I feel, than either the Kingdom or the Siege Ultra Magnus, which I like the Siege Ultra Magnus a lot. I really like it. But
only minor differences between Siege and Kingdom, and only like an idiot pays $50 twice for that toy. This guy here.
But remember the Energon I was talking about? So this is the red clear plastic Energon weapons, which I actually think is cool. I like it.
I don't know,
but it's from the laser, the G2 Laser Light Optimus Prime from the Legacy line. It's the same weapon,
okay.
just a different color.
So if you're getting a little bit more mileage out of the tooling, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
so it's like not specific to this Ultra Magnus. It's just they added it to him.
Yeah, he's not anything though. I mean, like this one, unless I was a huge Ultra Magnus nut, which I do love the character very much, but not enough to buy Powered Convoy. I mean, all that was just pre Transformers Diaclone Ultra Magnus. So,
which I do really like the Diaclone aesthetic. But again, it's one of those buys where it's like, if you see him and he's available and the price is good, it might be a grab. Otherwise, I'm not going to go out and search for it. I'm not going to go out and try to find him. Or,
well, when I see this is going to be about a $65 grab. So you tell me.
Well, I meant I'm not meaning like run out and find it for me. I'm saying like if I'm at the store, because I actually have one that I want to show you about. But if I'm at the store and it's available and the price is right, it might be a grab. But it's not one of those that's on my list of must-haves, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that does it for. Well, here, let me show you his alt mode real quick.
Yeah, exactly what you would expect. Looks good.
Ultra Magnus-y, right?
Yeah, a lot of that is Earthrise or Kingdom. I mean, Kingdom mode or Kingdom sculpt with that more like standardized looking cab. The figure looks horrible when you transform that into a robot. It's just a dog.
Well, that's why he's got his armor, right?
Yeah, just cover it up. Cover that toy up.
All right, so that was it for the reveal for Hasbro. I got some other bits of news, but before I do that, did you have any other news you wanted to share?
What about the big one? They revealed Menasor.
Well, they did show that. I didn't grab a picture of that, darn it.
Yeah, I was playing dumb, like, oh, the other Stunticons when they come. No, Hasbro just blew the gates off. They had the designer from Japan on there apparently, and dude, Menasor kicks ass. It is such a great looking figure.
I agree.
And then they showed the Robosan $750 half of an Optimus Prime trailer that transforms on its own with a bunch of cool features.
So here's what we're talking about. This is the next reveal.
Yeah.
So I actually, it's one of those where it's like, dang, if it wasn't so much money, he would be freaking cool to have. And the video that they showed of the trailer is remarkable. It's really cool. The trailer, just like the cab, transforms on its own, does all of its own things. And the kicker, Roller moves on his own. He comes out of the back of the trailer, backs up, spins around, does everything. He moves on his own. Everything is automatic and motorized.
It is incredibly cool and incredibly a hell no for me.
It's one of those, like, I always wanted a self-transforming Transformer. And so that's so cool to think that there are actually ones out there that do this. Just I will never be able to get one.
To me, it just takes the fun out of it. If it does it itself, it's a novelty.
I think it's a beautiful thing. To me personally, I love the detail. I love how big and bulky and heavy it looks. I love every part of it. So I think it's really cool. And nothing says that you still can't play with it like a figure, because I mean Optimus Prime's legs didn't move when it was a G1. His arms barely moved as it was. I mean, you were moving around a statue anyway. So
well, I'll tell you what, you start moving this around and those little stepper motors that they've got in here, we'll see how long those things last without power. Yeah. But it was neat anyways. As a novelty, it's very neat.
I think it's awesome. I mean, the detail is beautiful. I think it's everything it should have been. So I don't have pictures of the other reveals, but there was an online image of the Dr. Mindbender classified for G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
That package was revealed. It's kind of a big box for a classified figure. He does come with some interesting accessories that are kind of small. I think
ending accessories.
Yeah. I think that what you're paying for this figure is going to be the box art and the big box compared to what it could have been if it was just released in a regular classified box.
Is his cape cloth goods?
I think it is.
I think so too, because that could be a part of it. You know, they tried to buffer some of the costs with, these accessories, and I'm sure that cloth cape would have never made it into a standard, $22 G.I. Joe classified figure package.
Gotcha. But it's still a cool looking figure. I mean,
yeah, it looks awesome.
Dr. Mindbender looks, well, he looks like he should. Let's put it that way.
He looks like he should be taking over for Mr. Peanut. Talking planters.
The Monopoly Man.
Or the Monopoly Man, there you go. Go directly to jail. Don't pass go.
You pass go, give me your money.
Oh, you comb the tombs of history's greatest leaders, collect $100.
Go get your mustache a trim.
Yeah, your mustache needs a trim. Pay $10 barber fee. Yeah.
So that was it for stuff I have to share for news. Have you got anything that I didn't share, or?
Well, there's a couple of things. So like, I'm not a 12-inch scale guy, like that's not normally my deal, but I mean, there's like 3 things that have come out that just like completely rocked my world.
What do you got?
You've got 3-0 doing G.I. Joe now,
Mm-hmm.
and they just kill. Dude, those are the best figures. I don't remember who it was that did that line that had about 8 or 9, maybe 10 figures in it, and they had cloth goods and just a million different hands, and they were like $300 a piece.
Yeah.
I think we've seen pictures of them before. I just
like the Roadblock that just recently.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Top Toys, but 3-0 is doing the Roadblock, and they just revealed Firefly. Oh, it's great.
Oh, wow.
Yep. There is also Hot Toys has revealed their Bespin Luke.
Ooh, there's an okay.
Dude, if you see pictures of this thing, it's so awesome. Like
is it as good as the Sideshow Bespin Luke? Because that one's good too.
I have, but this one actually has a lightsaber that lights up.
What?
It looks great, dude. The head sculpt is awesome. I mean, it's just we've seen them before, right? We've seen these like 12-inch scale Lukes, and it's the most popular version. I prefer Jedi Luke, but that's just me.
Bespin Luke is my jam. I love that version.
Yeah, but that Bespin looks great. So you should check out the new Bespin Hot Toys Luke. And gosh, I want to say that there's a company that just got the license for Star Trek in 12-inch scale. And I want to say it's like Echo 6 or something is the name of it, but I posted it on the Facebook page. And I mean, they're not just coming out with like 1 or 2. There's like 20 different Star Trek figures in 12-inch scale, and they are extremely well sculpted and detailed. And they showed off the Bones, Spock, and Kirk from Wrath of Khan. And I don't know that I would have ever collected 12-inch scale, but man, those are awfully damn tempting. So check out our page.
All right, hold on. You said it. I found it. So let's show it to him real quick.
Yes. Yeah, these things rock. Oh my God.
Look at how beautiful that. Look at that. The Bones McCoy jacket is just.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite pieces of the costume was that jacket.
Yeah. Kirk comes with the book so that he can talk about how gallivanting around the cosmos is a game for the young. And you can take it away from him and put an apple in his hand so he can say things like,
I don't like to lose.
I don't like to lose. I don't like to lose.
Still beautiful. Always wanted a really good Star Trek figure, and Star Trek II Wrath of Khan is my most favorite Star Trek movie of all time. So
yeah, hands down.
Hands down. Probably going to be very expensive, I would imagine.
So, just don't know, man. I don't know what these are gonna. They did not mention the retail price. I'm assuming between like they got to be $100 a pop.
Over 100, I would assume. I'm picturing more like the 150, 160 price range.
Yeah, and Playmates is actually doing a series that's coming this summer that are 6-inch scale, and I've got a Kirk in my basket with Entertainment Earth. I just haven't, pulled the trigger on it yet.
Yeah.
They look really good too, and they're more in line with like what I collect. But I just, I couldn't see these figures and not at least kind of bring this up and try and bring some other attention to them because they're just so terrific.
Those are awesome. I love classic Star Trek. I'm always been a big fan of classic Star Trek, and to be able to see these, which is my favorite era of Star Trek, it always feels the most real to me. And these are my favorite uniforms, so I love seeing this. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you could even get yourself a piece of plexiglass and a barbecue lighter, and modify Spock and put him next to Kirk so they can do the hands on the glass thing that was like the saddest thing ever recorded in cinema history.
What did he say? He says, "What do you think of my solution to the Kobayashi Maru?"
My solution. Oh, and he follows him down. It's like the saddest thing in the world.
Yeah, and he doesn't scream no. He goes, "No."
No.
It's so sad, dude. If you're a guy and you don't cry at that, you have no feelings.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. So that was my other like toy stuff. Did you get some cool stuff?
Are we into show and tell? Are we into show and tell?
Oh, let's hell to the Yizab, because I'm on the benefiting end of some.
You are this time. Okay, so I'll show off the big one. So this one I grabbed for you.
Yeah,
Target finally dropped the price on these bad boys from $59 to $29.
There it is, man. Oh man, I've been watching these. They do not have those at Secret Target here in Burlington / Mount Vernon. So
he's all yours. I have 3 Origin Battle Cats, so I didn't want to get another one.
Yeah, the VAC metal and the
VAC metal. It wasn't. I love VAC metal, but it wasn't enough for me to pull the trigger for me. So, but I know you wanted it, so it's all yours, bud.
Yeah, and that windswept head sculpt, man, I love it. I love that figure. It was not $50 worth of figure,
but yeah, $30. It's not bad, and he's got some pretty good extra stuff. Battle Cat comes with like the gray skull ground. There's some little gargoyles that you can hang on gray skull if you got the big gray skull. But all in all, $30. That's a decent price.
Yeah, boom goes the dynamite all day long on that. Yeah. That was the price I was waiting for it to hit. I know in some Targets that hit like $14.99.
What? Oh man, I would have pulled the trigger for me on that one then.
Yeah, you could have got 2 for $29, but
yeah, that would have been awesome.
No. The fact
that's fine. It's I'm you helped me out a lot, so I'm always happy when I can find something that you really want. So
yeah, dude, I'm super pumped about that.
Something else you really wanted.
Yep. A cursory evaluation of our situation reveals that Perceptor Transformers the movie. Oh man, studio series. That is exactly what I've been searching for and hunting for. Oh, what a load off my chest. I don't got to find it.
He's a beautiful figure. I took mine out of the box and I couldn't stop transforming him. I mean, he's good.
God,
And
man.
he's a very well put together figure. There's no loose parts on this guy whatsoever. And the plastic feels perfect. He looks just like he should cartoon wise. So overall, I'm happy. This is one of my favorite 86 Studio series.
Oh, far and away, dude. That was one of the absolute best releases so far. I am so happy that that's not something I got to try and find in the wild.
Yep. Coming next week, I'll have a next week reveal that hopefully he'll get here before Wednesday. So
all right.
But I have one more.
Oh, okay.
One of those ones where it was like, if it was ever available and I could get it, I'll get it. So Coronation Starscream.
Oh man, that is such a good get. That is a really good one.
So this bad boy is the Earthrise version of Starscream.
Yep.
But he comes with the glorious cape, the shoulder armor, and the crown, and the throne.
Yeah.
So the minor complaint I have about this figure overall is that there should have been holes on the seat, that there's two pegs on the back of him that he should have been able to plug into the seat so you could sit securely on the throne. Otherwise, he just kind of sits there and kind of jostles around a little bit.
Yeah, well, don't worry. He doesn't spend too much time on it anyways.
But other than that, it's a beautiful figure. We're seeing now that no plastic screen, no nothing, just flat box art. And I think that's the way that they're trying to go now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
totally
not bad.
okay with it. Cutting the plastic out. I've always kind of been a fan of packaging that had, like, you know, the box, and there was a window thing that went over it. You open it like a book.
Like a book, yeah.
All that like delicious smelling styrofoam and vac metal parts and metal robots and stuff in there. But we keep that up. There won't be a planet left.
No, that's true. That's very true. I'm okay with them going to the full covered box, because the box art is actually good. I love the box art for the latest Transformer releases from War for Cybertron and on. I like to have them in my boxes. I keep them in my box. It keeps my Transformers safe and clean. I don't have to dust them. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with all of that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I promised Nicole that I would share her score that I picked up when I went down to Everett to BobaCon, which was the overwhelming, most awesome toy store ever.
Right
on. So I'm going to show you really quick the things that I picked up for her.
Sure.
She's now engaging in the show a little bit, which is, well,
where you good, man.
Don't you want to be cool like Doug and I? I don't get it.
It's hard to be cool.
These, everybody knows what these are. They're dolls. But actually, they were a really good price.
I like that. I like the collector series. A lot of people didn't.
This was not an ask from her, but she does not have a Jedi Luke, so it was time that she got one of those. And, you know, surprisingly, on a lot of these, the head sculpts were pretty good. These are good figures.
I like them.
I always call them dolls and not action figures, but they're.
I have a few of them.
There's you know what, maybe a handful where they really just shit the bed with the sculpting, like Han Solo and Chocolate Bar. That one wasn't very good. You know, we got, when I walked in there, it's a trap.
Mr. Fishface himself. Yep.
You're dropping some Benjamins. It's a trap.
You know, the funny thing I always thought about Akbar, man, he's got fish hands, he's got crab hands, he's got a fish head, but his body and his legs are all human. Like, he's got human feet. He's got human.
Whatever it is, don't drink the water on Mon Cal.
That's true.
So yes, I told Nicole I would share those.
Those are great.
They're good scores, and honestly, to be buying these toys at, you know, $20 to $30 a piece, it was $15 for that Luke.
Oh, I would have bought that easy too.
Yeah, but that's like shelf price back from the day. So that was a really good pickup.
Nice.
Also, we had been seeing rumors at Walmart that these figures had been coming out and they were priced at $17 a piece. What? Because Walmart was hardly getting them.
A piece. You picked up 2 more.
Well, we know what these are.
Yeah.
And this isn't a pickup for me. Local collector Dominic, he's sort of like Transformers G.I. Joe wrestling guy. I'm hoping he's going to join our podcast here pretty soon.
Okay.
This is actually for him.
Right.
They showed up at my Walmart for $17 a piece. So it's almost like they're clearancing them out before they got the full quantity on the shelves. Most likely due to some sort of like shipping related issue, you know.
At our Walmart, I saw 2 alley vipers. I haven't seen any bats on shelves here, but I've seen alley vipers. So, and I know they're out there. So, yeah, they're still available.
I had encountered like 1 bat and 1 alley viper at Target, and strangely enough, so Target does this weird thing, right? They got these Target boxes, which are reusable boxes, and sometimes they're just loose toys in there. So they're not full cases of action figures or anything. It's almost like at the distribution center, they just pack enough in to fill the shelf. Because when they restocked, they got Flint and Lady J again, and like an alley viper and a bat. So, you know, Dominic's got a day job like everybody else. So that was my way of helping him. I'm going to hook up with him here pretty soon, and hopefully that's some good trade bait. But
right on.
It was neat finding those. And I found another error priced thing on the shelf that we'd actually both been kind of looking at. So this is from Metal Toys. Yeah. This is it's got like a little mini diorama in there. So this is just like G.I. Joe, right? It's like, what is this, like an 18 pack or something here? 20 pack. I don't know. But it's metallic paint jobs. It's really hard to see. Can you make any of that out, Doug?
I can. Yeah, I can see that.
So really neat figures. I don't know what I'm going to use them for, but I'm telling you, anybody out there who is like on the fence, these are probably hitting your Walmarts, and they're priced at like $11.75.
That's an easy pickup.
It's like half the price of what it's going to retail for. So there's some kind of a weird pricing error there. Or what happened, they were supposed to be there months ago, and the stock is just now arriving, and Walmart wants to liquidate them out of the system. Who knows? It was not clearance tagged. There's actually no shelf label for it, but when I saw them, you know, I like them quite a bit, even though I don't really have much of a use for them. So I figured that both Doug and Steve needed to have a set of those.
Those are great. Yeah, the only thing I noticed about that set is that there's no Ratchet, like one of my most favorite characters. There's no Ratchet there.
It is kind of weird that we would get Rodimus Prime and not Ratchet, huh?
Yeah.
Or we get RC.
Yeah.
And not Ratchet.
It's a great set, and I like it. I just, you know,
would get Shockwave in there though.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Those are pretty cool figures, man. I'm not gonna lie. I like ecstatic to get them.
You know, if I was into like tabletop gaming or something, they're in scale with tabletop RPG stuff.
They are.
So I'm going to show you the one thing that actually really excited me. I was excited to find this other stuff to help people out and to get some cool things, but I can say that within 30 to 40 miles of me, either way, I have multiple Walmarts, multiple Targets. I have Bobacon in Everett. I have not seen what's up in Bellingham yet, but we're taking that trip up there this weekend. There seems to be a glut of opportunities to get cool toys.
Nice.
So I showed off last week that Microman set that I got, and I did a little bit more research on that. That's actually called Bio Machine. And in 2004, Toys R Us rolled out 4 sets, and you buy them and you could combine them all into that robot. That's why I had all the additional figures. So I found that in a little like pop-up toy store that had vintage stuff that was in Stanwood.
I am so jealous of that find because he is such a beautiful bot. I mean, that is such a great find for you.
Yeah, it's not normally my jam, but there was something so attractive about that toy that I needed to have it.
I agree.
So we had in Mount Vernon a like yard sale flea market thing this past weekend. And of course it was cash only. There were ATMs, but it was kind of a tough gig. I mean, Nicole and I had like 6 stops just to get to some place that could give us cash back and money to get into it. So I wasn't carrying that much, but I did go and I was not disappointed very much.
Right on.
I did run into a vendor that had some really cool like Ninja Turtles, Cops figures that I wanted, but and he had some like G.I. Joe Classified out of package, missing all the accessories. So I think this is somebody's kid that might have had a little screw loose. And he had some vintage toys, right? But when I asked him how much it was for the Cops figures, he was just like way insanely priced. Like found the the highest priced one on eBay, complete with no damage, and that's what he wanted for his incompletes, right? We see that all the time.
We see it all the time. Yeah.
So that one, I was a little sad because there was some cool stuff, but I passed because I thought that the kid was kind of coconuts.
Yeah,
but
the
I
price
wanted
has got to be right
thing.
on those things, or else it's not worth it.
Yeah, and Cops, I would like to have a couple more Cops figures. They had Long Arm and Barricade, but Long Arm was missing the hat, missing the cuff, and he wanted $25 for it. So it was an easy pass for me.
Yeah.
But I wandered into a lady's booth that was just like a plethora. She had old Star Wars that were $10 a piece. She had vintage G.I. Joe, just a bunch of things, and they were really reasonable. But again, after we paid the entrance fee, I found one place that would give me $10 cash back. Nicole had $2 in change, and it was eight to get in. So I had $4 if I didn't want to go to an ATM and pay the fee.
Right.
Well, she happened to have a $3 bin, and I grabbed a few things and was going to tell her to hold them so I could go to the ATM, and I decided not to.
Yeah. But
there was something discovered in that $3 bin, and she had Masters of the Universe vintage that was like in great shape. $10 for Trapjaw, like
see, that's
clean
what
as
they
a
should
whistle.
Be.
Clean as a whistle. Had one of his three accessories, but he had the weight belt thing. But what really excited me is that this was found in the $3 bin.
Whoa.
That's a vintage Horde Trooper with the armor. He did not have the staff. But that's the one that I'm probably most excited about. I already had one.
For $3.
$3. Now, here's the bad part. I'm going to turn it over. See the yellow?
Yeah, that's fixable.
I will easily get rid of that yellow off of this figure. But I mean, incredibly tough figure to find anyways. But this stuff's in the wild. And where I have moved to, I just get these yard sales and pop-ups, and it's about 60% of the population of the Tri-Cities that all live within 25 miles of where I live. So we've still got these old people that are digging crap out of their toy rooms and their kids' toy boxes, and it's making it out there. So I am super excited to kind of be here and to find yard sales and to pick them because good stuff can still be had.
I can't wait to come up there and spend a weekend going through.
Dude, we're gonna go to BobaCon, and I'm gonna bring some of those intravenous fluid packs. I'll hook one into your arm while we're there because it's so overwhelming. It just like BobaCon almost takes the wind out of you when you walk in. It's like overwhelmingly filled with awesome shit.
I cannot wait to get there and see that stuff.
Okay, so yes, I'm long-winded, but I was very excited about that.
That's a good find. That's a good find. I'm waiting for the Origins version of it to hit shelves somewhere. People are posting, pictures that they've got them. I've not seen them once.
So some of the pre-orders are hitting now. Like when they first went up for pre-order.
So are we going to start seeing them on the shelves now?
We should.
I hope so, because that's
I
really need to have that. I need to have that Anti-Eternia He-Man. I need to have that Horde Trooper. I mean, those are the two that I'm really, really wanting from that wave. I mean, of course, I want the whole wave, but the two that I really want are Anti-Eternia He-Man and Horde.
King Grayskull from Masterverse.
From the Revelations, he's starting to show up too.
Yeah. Is that on your list?
He is on my list. Yeah, because he's a cool looking figure, man. I mean,
it's great. Yeah, really nice figure.
Like I've said before, I'll say it again. Say what you want about the cartoon and the story. That has nothing to do with the toys, and the toys.
Yeah, those designs are amazing. Yeah,
they are outstanding. And so, like the new Transformers, they're masterpieces in their own right. And so, if you can find good ones out there for a good price, heck yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only people that are saying that classics was better are the ones who spent too much money on classics.
I did not. I missed the boat on classics. I'm kind of glad I did.
I bought a few. They were really terrific for the time, but there's
The
no way
He-Man
to
I
compare
think is
to
awesome.
today's
I mean, he
figures.
looks beautiful. The classics He-Man is good. I love the head sculpt. I love the articulation on him. I mean, he looks great. But Revelations He-Man comes along. He looks just as good, in my opinion. I think the head sculpt could have been done a little better, but there's a lot of people out there who are offering alternate head sculpts to go on that body. It looks great.
Yep.
So, yeah. Is that all the show and tell you got for
that's
today?
show and tell. So our discussion topic is crossovers. What's some of our favorite crossovers that we had? And this is like a hero from here and a hero from here mushing together, or a franchise from here and here that you would think is unlikely. So this would be like certain characters within a universe crossing over, DC Marvel crossing over, certain movie franchises crossing over.
Right.
So there's a couple of them that I really like that I got to share. Why don't you kick this thing off, Doug?
Yep. And so I will, but I'll preface this with what I didn't count as a crossover, what some people do, I consider them minor crossovers, are things like where Wolverine encountered Spider-Man. I don't count that as a real crossover, because they're the same line, they're the same company, they're the same everything, and they've gone in back and forth in with each other's stories so often that I don't really count that as crossover.
Yeah, but if Wolverine interacted with Batman,
that would be different.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to preface this. I did not pick any of those where they were in franchise crossovers, rather multi-franchise crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first one, I really think is probably my favorite, and so I'm happy to share it, and you can see once I say what it is there.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Superman versus He-Man, and this is the first crossover of Superman versus He-Man. Now they have done recently DC versus Masters of the Universe, where they have all of the characters from both franchises crossing over, and the stories are pretty good there too. But I have to say my favorite crossover between the two is when Superman and He-Man first met each other in DC Comics number 47. When
didn't Skeletor put some kind of spell on Superman or He-Man, and they saw their enemy instead of seeing each other?
Exactly. Yep. And because He-Man is magic induced, and Superman's real, one of only two weaknesses, kryptonite, and the other one being magic. The title From Eternia with Death was a real possibility for Superman. So the stakes were high in that crossover, but like all good comics, they resolved it, and He-Man and Skeletor actually became good friends. And so that's probably my number one most favorite crossover. I've got a lot, but that's my number one most favorite.
Okay, yeah, I think it's I can respect that. I do like the idea that they're both on the same plane as far as power, and well, in context of the crossover, because you forgot to mention Superman's third weakness, and that was whatever cop out the writers came up with.
Oh, well, yeah.
They made him too powerful. What do we do with this guy? Well, maybe he's just like slightly more powerful than the locomotive.
Maybe we have him trip over his shoelaces in a panel, and yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but no, I love that crossover, and because they are so equally powerful, you have the most powerful man in the universe versus the most powerful man in the universe, and you're gonna have a good showdown. So
yeah, and it's almost, we kind of discussed, like, if not the main character, then who last time.
Mm-hmm.
And He-Man, I love the concept of He-Man, where he is weak and can become strong, just like Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
I just absolutely love that thought. I mean, Superman, unless you put kryptonite in front of him, he's
still Superman, even if he
almost
takes the glasses off.
He'll never understand what it's like being normal.
Right.
And it's sad for him. I mean, he's as normal on a personality level as you can get because he's just a good old Kansas kid. But
unless you count
characters-
Superman 2.
Superman, yeah.
It's a hokey movie. We love it, but it's hokey.
It's actually my favorite of the original Superman movies, even like Conan the Destroyer. Obviously, the first Conan is superior in every way, but I like Destroyer better.
Yeah, because it doesn't have that guy he's fighting in the mirror room where he's swinging him around.
Okay, so I got one that's kind of wild, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it actually kind of produced one of my very favorite. I don't know if you'd call it like guilty pleasure movies.
Okay.
But I absolutely loved the Freddy versus Jason crossover.
Yes, that's a great crossover.
Yeah. It was almost more comedy than horror, and it was so over the top. And both of those guys got their due. Like, it didn't ever say who was more powerful, who won the fight.
Well, if I remember right, there were 2 endings to that movie.
I think that the theatrical release, I think there might have been 3, because there was a tie, and then there was one that went either way. I think if Freddy or Jason won, but they end up like killing each other, and Jason's walking out of the water with Freddy's head,
and then his head.
But then Freddy Krueger you have the body and I have the brain. That was just so.
There were some, that movie, there was some great action scenes. I love the scene where Jason gets impaled by all the rebar.
Oh God.
Oh man. It's a great movie. And Freddy Krueger is already a campy, kind of a silly kind of a character anyway, because he attacks you in your dreams, which there's no boundaries on dreams, right? You can be as silly or as serious as you want to be. So,
well, something happened in the 80s to these slasher movies. The original Nightmare on Elm Street actually did have some like genuinely terrifying imagery and thoughts. Yeah. Like the kid being sucked into the bed and all the blood exploding out of the bed. I mean, that was like creepy looking.
The boyfriend being thrown around the room and slashed to bits.
Yeah, because that was what was it, about 82?
Yeah.
When that came out. Okay. So for the time, that's terrifying.
It's still pretty terrifying. And the first one also had a lot of imagery that was very religious in some aspects too. So it hit on a lot of different topics. And then Freddy's Revenge, Freddy 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge came out, and then it was like, oh, what are we gonna do now? And then don't even get me started on the Dream Warriors Dream Master kick. I mean, because that was ultimate camp when we're talking. But the girl's hand turned into cockroaches, and then the big head that came out of the TV it was like, how far can we go on these? But
something happened. Like, they went from scary horror to like this campy, funny horror. Like there's a Nightmare on Elm Street, or not Nightmare, but Friday the 13th, where there's like this extended sequence of a guy fist fighting Jason, and he hits Jason like 30 times in the face.
Yeah.
You can see it on YouTube. It's like the funniest thing. And then Jason hits him once and like knocks his head off into a garbage can.
Yeah.
So what was great about Freddy versus Jason is, they could have tried to go straight scary horror, which I don't think would have worked. Instead, they embraced the lunacy of some of the later movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, you had people who are obviously in their 30s playing teenagers. So that was a jab at how it was. And in one sequence, you got these 2 kids in a cornfield, and Jason just kind of like walks up, looking like Jason. And the guy's like, "Hey there, Jethro. This here's a rave, not a costume party. Why don't you go find yourself a pig to screw?" And he just takes the guy's head and like turns it backwards.
Good stuff. And that's the kind of crossover that I'm talking about, that makes it worthwhile and memorable. When you take 2 franchises that people would be like, yeah, let's see these two guys together. Let's see what would happen. We talk about it, like as fans, we go, oh, well, if Superman fought He-Man, Superman would win. No, He-Man would win. And so when we get these crossovers as fans, it's like, yes, we finally get to see something that we really wanted to see. Freddy versus Jason is one of those.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that movie. I own it. I haven't seen it in a while, and it makes me kind of want to go back to it and watch it again.
I just bought all five, it was a huge collection of Nightmare on Elm Street movies for Jeff. And that one was the last one in that set. So we may have to watch it too.
Okay, so what do you got next?
Along the same line of horror is another one of my favorite crossovers is Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, and I think that you're a little bit in the minority on this one, but
I know I am
too. I'm in there with you too. I actually really, really enjoyed the first one, and I thought the second one could have been scary, but there's something weird. Like the copy that I bought is really dark.
Oh, well, no, I think that was all. I think it was just a dark shot in the dark kind of movie.
But there's a lot of details you can't see that I think would have enhanced the terror or the adrenaline if you could. And I remember thinking it was okay. I like the idea because the second one went more horror movie, where this is all playing out in a small town, whereas the first one just kind of played out in this giant alien jungle gym. But right. I actually really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
I did I remember being really excited for the first one when it came out, and I had read the Alien versus Predator comics, so I'd known some of the mythos already between both of them and how they combined. And then when I saw the movie, it didn't quite follow that, but that didn't really damage the story for me. I actually thought that it was done really well. I liked how the Predators were very big. They were able to hold their own against these aliens, and how the aliens were bred basically for these guys to hunt, to cut their teeth on, so to speak. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was a great movie. It was a great way to showcase both monsters and get them together and get them to fight each other. So
yeah, and again, this is another one of those ones where they sort of just ended with a tie.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, both of them are strong. Both of them have their strengths that the creatures can apply, but I think they did both franchises justice. But I know that I'm in the minority. I know that there were people who said that they didn't like how the story was. They didn't like that it was PG-13. They didn't like a few things about it, and that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, but I really did enjoy this type of crossover.
Yeah, me too. And I think you hit the nail on the head. They did a good job of showcasing each movie monster's strengths. Like the way that the aliens hunt and how they operate. It actually did a good job of making them look dangerous. And same thing with the Predator. So I agree with you. It was one of my very favorite crossovers. Even the second one, even though it was harder to see. You know what one I actually liked? I don't like it as good as the first, but did you ever see Predators?
Yeah, I liked that one too.
Yeah, so I like the idea of people being dropped onto that planet like a game reserve.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me to buy, the hardest thing to get through was Adrian Brody.
I know.
With his
as an elite special forces soldier. Yeah.
My name's Royce. It just didn't, and like he worked out for like 3-4 weeks before the movie, so he's a tall skinny guy anyways with no applicable muscle mass.
Yep.
And it was just like white collar worker muscle mass that he put on for the movie. It looked okay, but I'm like, man, not even nearly as credible looking as like Arnold.
So one thing I did like about that movie particularly was it introduced the different classes and mixture of the Predator race. That they weren't all the same size. They all didn't look the same, and some of them were rather huge and very strong.
Yeah, and like almost like a different
subspecies.
Oh, what do you call it? A caste? Like you have the ruling caste and you have the subcaste, CASTE.
Yep.
Yeah, I did like that element, and as corny as it was, there's a sequence where this Yakuza guy has his sword
Oh, out
and
in
the
the tall
Predator,
grass. Yeah.
and they're facing off in the field. And I love old samurai movies. And they do that thing where they run past and there's just like a single blow and then both of them die,
Yeah.
like it kills them both. I thought that was cool as hell.
Yeah. Well, and it showcased how the Predator can recognize an honorable kill.
Yeah.
They weren't just mindless hunters, right? They weren't just whatever going for everything. They wanted to kill, they wanted to hunt, but they also recognized that there could be honor in it as well. So
yeah. Yep.
No,
So
very,
I
very
think that's
good.
a really good pick with Aliens versus Predators. My second pick that I brought with me, and I don't know if we're running long or anything, but in the 90s we had a really good crossover type thing happening between Marvel and DC. They like cooperated on several stories. And during Nightfall, that series with Batman when he gets his back broken by Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right about that time, I was reading comics pretty hot and heavy at that time. And my absolute favorite comic character, and still to this day, the one that if I could read one comic, it's the Punisher.
Oh, good character.
Yeah, and the Punisher's not tortured. He's a sociopath. So he got to cross over twice with Batman. The catch was that the first time it was with Azrael as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, you had this geared up religious zealot who took over for Batman when he had his back broken. So him and the Punisher got into some little, into some mischief in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So I that one was okay, but the one that I liked the most, I want to say it was John Romita that did the art for it, and it was Punisher crossing over with classic Batman in Gotham City. And he chases the Joker down, and the Joker is in cahoots with Jigsaw, which is convenient, right?
Right.
And what I love the most about it is there is such a defining Punisher moment and Batman moment that happens in there. Like Batman's not too excited about psychopath Frank Castle coming to Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do more harm than good. And really, he should be putting Frank in Arkham. That's where Frank belongs. So you get to see Tim Drake and Microchip face off in a hacking war. Mm-hmm. And Tim Drake gets the best of him, like hacking into the computers.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a sequence where they're going after Joker and Jigsaw, and Batman's like, man, I don't know. I mean, maybe the world is better off without the Joker. And of course, Frank is killing everybody in sight because that's what he does. And he corners the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And the Joker's like, okay, I give up, Mr. Vigilante, Mr. Skull Vigilante. You got me. Take me back to Arkham. And Frank's like, nope. Puts the gun up to his head. And you see this look of fear in the Joker's face because it's like the first time he's never really thought, that he's thought he's going to die.
Right.
He just thought, oh, he says something like, I'm a very sick man. I need treatment. And he's like, I have all the treatment you need right here. And it's like a 45 auto that he puts up to the Joker's head. And he's like, wait, you're going to kill me? Yeah, that's what the Punisher does. He's not not like the Admonisher. He killed. That's what he does. So he's got the gun up to the Joker's head and he's about ready to do what Batman couldn't. And Batman shows up and he's like, okay, that's enough. Joker, run. Mm-hmm. And the Joker's like, what? Batman saves the Joker because at his core, if he kills, he is no better than the Punisher. He becomes the Punisher if he kills.
Exactly.
And of course, Frank gets all bent out of shape over it because, Batman's never ended this lunatic and he's just going to keep killing and all those deaths will be on his hand. So,
does he have a good point? He has a good point.
He does. And he doesn't have a, conscience about it.
Right. So
he's does this big roundhouse punch. Somehow he punches Batman in the face and Batman's like, okay, I'm going to let you have one because you think you deserve it. He tries it again, and Batman whips the Punisher's ass. I mean, he just like judos him into the boxes. And when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, screw that. Punisher would put up a better fight. No, he would not. I'm sorry, Batman. He is such a lunatic. He's so detached. He does not let emotion get to him. Right. And Punisher has, word dialogue, dialogue bubbles, internal monologues, like ride the wave of hate. When he's, like to get through something, he's shot up or dinged up. Yep. Batman never has that internal dialogue. It's, I have to calm down and wait for this guy to make a mistake. This is going to hurt, right. So he takes his lumps so Batman's the ultimate strategist.
I agree.
And essentially he's like, get the hell out of here, Castle. If I see you in Gotham again, I'm going to take you to the loony bin, which would be great for Frank because everybody he wants to kill is inside of there anyways, right? Yeah, I mean, could you even imagine like what would happen if he went to Arkham? They'd have no inmates. They would lose their government.
He would funding. Kill everybody.
They would all be dead. Yeah. But I just thought, man, what a great Punisher moment. If I don't end this guy, he kills countless more.
Yep.
And Batman says, I can't let you kill him or I become you.
And I don't want to become you at all.
No, like he slips off the deep end. And though that might be more effective, that his whole life is hinged around being better than the people that he's trying to bring in. So yep. For me, that was just perfect. I had it somewhere. I don't think I kept the graphic novel. It was like a 48-page thing, but that is my absolute favorite comic crossover ever between those two, because it just so perfectly defines what is at the core of those two characters.
I agree. Yeah. Yep. And they're both nuanced characters in that they could easily become one or the other, right? If Frank had a little bit more control over his emotions and things, he could be a Batman. If Batman had lost control more, he could become a Frank Castle. So it's easy to see how those two are pretty similar in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I think that the Punisher is a dark evolution of Batman. I don't think that Frank, there's no coming back for Frank. It's all the mission. That's all that it is.
Yep.
And he could kill the people that killed his family 100 times, and that wouldn't be enough. So Frank is a warning story for Batman.
Yeah.
You do this once, and it takes you down a rabbit hole that you do not come back from.
Yep. I agree. Okay, I have one more that I want to share, and it's a really good one. I don't know if you're a fan of this or not, but it has to be. I know Superman and He-Man is my favorite crossover, but this one is right up there. I am a huge Supernatural fan. I love Supernatural. Watched all 15 seasons of it, and I got it. What was that?
There were that many?
Oh, yes. There was a lot. And I loved every moment of it. And so there was an episode where Sam and Dean Winchester came across a haunted television, and they got sucked into it. And they got sucked in. They got sucked into an episode of Scooby-Doo. And it every imaginable hijink you can think of, if you were ever sucked into a cartoon, happened in this episode. And the whole premise of it is they get sucked in and they hang out with the Scooby Gang, and the Scooby Gang is used to being like, oh, well, this is old fisherman Bob who is running this scam, and there's no such thing as real ghosts. And Sam and Dean come in and start showing them that we fight real ghosts, and these are real ghosts, and people really die. And it's funny to watch Velma like go through this existential crisis. Like she's like starting to break down and go, no, this can't be happening. This is not real. They start questioning, like, I'm a cartoon. No, people died. This is what's going on here. And all of them start having this real problem. Like Shaggy breaks his arm and he's like, that's never happened before.
Zoinks.
and you know, of course, Dean is like trying to hit on Daphne the whole time, and she's not having it. And but anyway, that the whole episode is just awesome. And and I love how they're like inside jokes for it. Like they were reading the newspaper, and then like Sam goes, Dean, you can't read that. It's just a bunch of squiggles on the paper.
Yeah.
So it's a great episode, and like what I think of when I think of how good crossovers should be done. They take the very essence of what makes both franchises popular and wonderful and the reason why people love them, and then they mash them together and see what happens, and they still stay true to the franchises that they were. So to see a cartoon like this, like Scooby-Doo, and then have Supernatural thrown in with it, is like it's a treat. And if you've never seen Supernatural, okay, you need to take a year and a half of your life, sit down and watch Supernatural.
I watch Ghost Adventures.
That's not the same.
Yeah, well, Ghost Adventures is probably about as fictitious as Supernatural, except for there are some little nuggets of actual, like, very real paranormal activity that's recorded. But the host of Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans, probably belongs in a cartoon. That guy.
Oh. But,
man.
Oh man, I swear this is a great crossover. And I'm sure if there's anybody watching of our tens of listeners, if there's a Supernatural fan out there, they will absolutely agree with me that this is one of the best episodes that Supernatural came out with, besides the heat of the moment, which that's an inside joke, and Supernatural fans will get that. Anyway, that was my favorite crossovers I had to share. I don't think we've got enough time. We're running long in the tooth for this one, so we went a little longer than I thought we would. Actually, we always do. I don't know why that surprises me. So I don't think we have enough time to go over our second part, which was going to be
it's going to be
characters.
Fun, though.
So
characters that came into our beloved franchises and totally shit the bed.
That's right.
It didn't work.
Yeah, characters that were completely useless, had nothing to do with the story, or that did not do a good thing while they were there, and were just, why is this character even here? I've got a good list of those.
They took more than they gave.
That's a good topic for next one. So
got a list right there.
Yep, I've got some, and I think there might be one or two controversial ones. Who knows? But we'll talk about all that stuff next time.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you, folks. We'll see you next time. And I'm grudgingly, if I see you in the toy aisles, I'll say hello.
Well, I'll say hello if I see you. I'm a good guy. All right, everyone. Have a good night.